Story about the little island that could. Block Island is just a 7 by 3 mile spit of land off the coast of Rhode Island, but it's about to make history. As Stephanie Leyden shows us, it's about to become the first U.S. community powered entirely by offshore wind.
Block Island's long been a picture-perfect spot, but over the past couple of weeks, 5 skyscraper-sized turbines have changed the scene here and potentially for power grids nationwide. Planted 3 miles off Block Island's coast, the turbines are the heart of the country's first offshore wind farm. They're much larger than turbines you see on land, nearly the height of Boston's Prudential Tower. And when they go online in November, they're expected to pump enough energy into a pair of underwater cables to power Block Island and thousands of homes on the mainland.
This project represents the United States' ability to actually see a real wind farm in our waters, permitted and constructed.
Matt Morrissey is with Deepwater Wind, the Rhode Island company that navigated not only the challenges of installing turbines in the Atlantic Ocean, but also the political currents that have made developing offshore wind energy, at best, a challenge. Consider Cape Wind, a plan to install dozens of wind turbines off the coast of Cape Cod. It met with fierce opposition, and 15 years later remains little more than an animated video.
Why did this project work and the Cape Wind project not work?
No one in the industry wants to cast aspersions on Cape Wind. They came before federal regulations.
Today, all along the East Coast, there are federally designated areas for future wind farms. One of them is just 15 miles from the Block Island site off the coast of Martha's Vineyard. And this summer, plans to develop that site got a huge boost when Governor Baker signed legislation mandating that in the next decade, 10% of Massachusetts' power come from offshore wind.
It's the first at-scale requirement that exists nationally in the United States.
Francis O'Sullivan researches energy at MIT and says the wind farm off Martha's Vineyard would be many times larger than the Block Island project, potentially more than 100 turbines. That scale is important, not only for meeting power demand, but also for keeping down prices.
Potentially, energy costs will actually fall with offshore wind. So with all renewable technologies, the way that they actually operate is you have to spend a lot of money upfront to pay for their construction, but you spend nothing on fuel.
The cost of just 5 turbines off Block Island, $350 million. Deepwater Wind sees it as an investment, a test for future projects, including the site off Martha's Vineyard.
Well, offshore wind is here to stay. Block Island is an example of American know-how, and we're really excited about this moment in the industry.
Stephanie Leyden joins me now. Stephanie's a great package. Can you expand a little bit on the comparison to Cape Wind? I've been interviewing Jim Gordon, who runs Cape Wind for, 15 years. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen. Why did this one work and that one didn't?
Well, perhaps it's the price you pay when you're a pioneer. You know, the
Maybe.
Offshore wind industry has really grown up in the last 15 years. In Europe, there are huge offshore wind farms, so the technology is there. And also, I think, folks learned from that experience. This project on Block Island took a couple of years to sort of put together this engineering feat, but it was years and years of stakeholder meetings and negotiations.
Speaking of stakeholders, I assume that includes real people. How do real people, what are residents, tourists, how have they felt about this happening?
Well, it's a little bit of a tourist draw, right? People are going to this edge on the island where you really can see the wind farm. They're, very kind of curious about it. Right now, Block Island gets its power from diesel, so there is a lot of excitement about the idea of having clean energy, but there's definitely mixed reactions. I talked to a realtor in town who said she encounters people who say, no way do I want a house that has a view of that. Yeah. Other people don't care, and her theory is it's one of those things people are going to get used to, at least aesthetically.
It's very interesting you say that. That was a big issue. The aesthetics was a big issue also with Cape Wind, but the flip side, as you say, they're tourist attractions in much of Western Europe. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and there really is, these days, such an emphasis on clean energy, right? I mean, state and federal governments, really, it's a mandate now.
Stephanie Leyden, thanks so much.
You're
Good
welcome.
to see you.